going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, we got the Chicago Pro lineup today. And it's actually a pretty decent lineup, so I'm going to show you guys some updates from these guys in this video. But first, we're going to go over the complete lineup. You've got Slavoj Bednar from this weekend's Vancouver Pro, Christopher Berner, Tim Budeshiem, also from this weekend's Vancouver Pro. He was the runner-up there. Phil Clahar, who we haven't seen in a while. Stanimal, who was outside of the top 5 at this weekend's Vancouver Pro. Anthony Delaventura. And this one's really interesting. Nathan Epler is switching from 212 to open bodybuilding for this one. We're going to talk about him later in the video. Moh Foda, Jordan Hutchinson, Brady King, Sung Chol Lee, Justin Mackey, Reese McDonald, Hassan Mostafa. So I guess he skipped Vancouver and he's doing Chicago instead. Felix Norman, Sam Pierce, Sarhan, Robin Strand, Vlad Suhoruchko, who's looking pretty incredible, and Liang Yan. So Chicago has a 20-man lineup, and there's some pretty decent guys in here. This has been a really fun couple of months where it feels like every single weekend we've got a show. This is like the fun time to be a bodybuilding fan, just back to back to back to back. And keep in mind, next weekend, you've got the Dubai Pro, which I think is going to be an even better lineup than this. But before I show you guys some of the updates from the guys that are doing the show, let's talk about a guy that's noticeably absent from this lineup that we were expecting to see in Chicago, Beef Stew. So he put up a post last night after the Vancouver Pro where he placed 5th. Obviously, he was off, not his best look, certainly not his best conditioning. So he put up this post. He says, "What's up, folks? Driving back from the Vancouver Pro. I was very off at this show, unfortunately, holding a lot of water from behind. I did my best to get it off me, but it didn't quite work. I'll probably make a video about it soon to talk through what happened. I just think I've been dieting too long and my body is beat up. It's frustrating, but shit happens. Lesson learned." And then at the very end, he says, "I'm not doing Chicago, though. There's no point. I'm not going to look any better, and it's a deeper show. I'm done for the season. Time for some rest." So it looks like, even though he had a pretty good run this 2024 season, it looks like he's not going to qualify for the Olympia or win a show. He's just going to take a break, which, based on how he looked in Vancouver, honestly, probably the best thing for him. And honestly, based on how deep this Chicago Pro lineup is looking right now, if he looks how he looked in Vancouver, I don't think he would do well at this show. This is looking to be a really good lineup for Chicago. So let's talk about some of the updates from the guys that are doing the show, now that we're less than 1 week out. So the latest update from Vlad Suhoruchko was 2 days ago, which would be 6 days out from the Chicago Pro, showing off striated glutes. He looks like he's in really good shape, and as you guys know, Vlad is a really big dude. And this is a really impressive update of the lower body of Vlad. And I will say, Vlad has kind of had maybe a little bit of the same issue that Tim Budeshiem has suffered from, where he looks crazy in a lot of these Instagram pictures, conditioning-wise. He just looks like a freak on Instagram. But a lot of times it doesn't translate for Vlad on stage. And I know he's got a thicker, a little bit of a wider midsection, again, kind of similar to Tim Budeshiem. But I'm interested to see how he does here, because in addition to this lower body update, I saw a side chest that he posted a couple weeks ago, so this would have been 2.5 weeks out from the Chicago Pro, where, again, he looks absolutely massive, but it does look like he's in some kind of posing room, so the lighting is really good, the angle's really good, it looks like there's a filter on the picture, that sort of thing. They all kind of play into why Instagram doesn't always translate into how he's going to look on stage. But some of these updates that I've seen from him do look really impressive. He's a bigger guy. He looks to be in really good shape. I believe he's also doing the Dubai Pro. And I was just watching a podcast last night where they said they heard that Andrew Jacked is doing the Dubai Pro too. So like I said, I think there's a chance that, well, first of all, Chicago will be really good, but I think there's a chance that this Dubai Pro lineup with all that prize money is going to attract a lot of guys, and I think you're going to have like an Arnold Classic caliber lineup at that show. And I think, you got to keep in mind, yeah, it's $100,000 for first place, but just to place second in Dubai, it's 40 grand. That's more money than you would get from winning like 3 pro shows just to place second here. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're seeing guys like William Bonac, Nathan Diasha, Beirut Tabani, guys that have already won shows coming into this Dubai show. Because honestly, of course, they all want to win, right? But honestly, it doesn't really matter if they do or not. Just getting second place here would be the same as winning like 3 shows in terms of prize money. Honestly, 40 grand would be huge if you won a show. Like if that were the first place prize at some of these smaller shows, like Chicago, for example, that'd be huge. But you're getting that in Dubai to lose the show, to be second. So I want to emphasize how big of a deal I think this Dubai show is going to end up being. And I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think the lineup's going to be crazy. So next up, let's talk about Nathan Epler, who's coming over from 212 and apparently doing the open division at this Chicago Pro. I've been seeing a lot of updates from Nathan over the past couple of weeks where he's looked really impressive. He's got a very aesthetic physique. He did pretty good as a 212 guy. He was a top 6 Olympian very early in his career. He's a young dude, and I've been seeing these updates thinking he looks bigger, he looks really impressive, he's in good shape, he's got an aesthetic physique. We just saw John Jewett come from 212 and win his first open show at the Vancouver Pro. Nathan Epler, maybe not as dense as John Jewett, but he looks like he's in really good shape, and like I said, a very nice structure. So I wanted to show his update in this video because I think we should, at this point, really never count out a 212 guy that comes to open, because these 212 guys have been coming into open and just doing extremely well. Hadi Chupin came from 212. Derek Lunsford came from 212. William Bonac came from 212. Like I said, John Jewett just won an open show, came from 212. So I just say that to say, don't be surprised if we see a guy like Nathan Epler in the mix at Chicago Pro with these open guys kind of coming out of nowhere. He came from 212, not nowhere. So I kind of want to put him on your guys' radar as we get closer to this show, because I didn't even know he was doing open. I thought he was doing 212 still. But I think there's a chance he could shake things up here. Now, here's a guy that we haven't talked about much at all. I want to put him on the radar too. Moh Foda. He's in the Chicago Pro lineup. This was the latest update that I saw from him. This was 5 days ago, so maybe a week and a half out from Chicago. He looks really impressive. He's a really kind of a freaky dude. He's got really good legs, really wide upper body, and he's working with Stefan, boss of Outlaw, who you guys saw, what he did with William Bonac. You saw what he did with Nathan Diasha, then Wesley Vissers earlier in the year, winning both Arnold Classics. Really good coach, working with a guy that's got a fantastic physique. I think his issue in the past, he's always been freaky. He's always been like a really muscular dude. But his issue in the past has been getting in shape. But we've seen what Stefan has been able to do recently. This guy could be a factor here. And then I saw this other update that he posted, a most muscular from July 2nd, so I guess that would be about 2 weeks out from the show. Very reminiscent of Hassan Mostafa in this pose. Really big arms, pretty good legs. This guy, he's not really as much on the radar, I feel like. We don't really talk about him much. But I have a feeling it's going to be one of these guys in the Chicago lineup that is maybe not as talked about, maybe not as well known, maybe hasn't won a show as an open bodybuilder yet. Maybe a guy that just kind of comes out of nowhere and wins this thing. It seems like that's possible based on some of these names. I think this first call out in Chicago is going to be a first call out of guys that we haven't really seen very many first call outs from. I guess I could put it like that. I honestly think that going into this, Let's talk about Tim Budeshiem, because that's what I want to talk about next. As we look at some of these stage shots from Tim Budeshiem, who just took second at the Vancouver Pro, I think he's got to be one of the favorites going into the show. You've got several other guys from Vancouver coming to Chicago. I think Tim will likely beat most of them again if he looks how he looked in Vancouver. I think, honestly, possibly one of the best versions of Tim Budeshiem we've seen up until this point. Very muscular, very dense. He was in really good shape, just maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing physique. We talked about the V-taper issue, he's got a wider waist. But I did see a lot of comments after Vancouver of people that wanted Tim to win. And a lot of people after Vancouver thought Tim was very impressive, and I agree with that sentiment. He looked arguably the best he's ever looked at that show. And like I said, I think when you look at that Chicago Pro lineup, and a lot of these names, they're guys with impressive physiques, but they're guys that are not super well known. They're guys that are not known for winning shows or haven't won a show. They're guys from other divisions. You know, like Stanimal came from 212. He's in this lineup. Nathan Epler, who we just talked about. I think based on his performance in Vancouver, Tim should be the on-paper front-runner going into this Chicago show, just looking at this list. Then Robin Strand is in this lineup, who we just saw at Vancouver, and, Tim beat him there. And then Hassan is finally in this lineup, but the latest update from Hassan, which was 1 day ago, there's a back lat spread shot, and then there's kind of him just kind of standing there relaxed. To me, we haven't seen any physique updates from him. He skipped Vancouver for whatever reason. He looked maybe his worst on stage that we've seen from him so far in Toronto. He is a freak. He's a mass monster. He's got a ton of muscle on that frame. He's got crazy body parts. Like, his quads are insane. Huge arms. But conditioning-wise, is he going to bring it here? I feel like every indicator that we've seen from him so far points to probably not. And even the glimpses of his physique that you can see in this latest, the back lat spread and the front relaxed, he doesn't really look, there's nothing on him that makes him look ultra lean. Like he's, what are we, 5 days out, 4 days out from the show? So even though he's in this lineup, I'm looking at that list. I'm thinking about Tim as probably the front runner. I'm thinking about Vlad as probably being a front runner. I'm thinking about, Robin Strand was just top 3 in Vancouver. He's probably going to be a front runner here. Nathan Epler could be a wild card. And then I guess we could also talk about Phil Clahar. He's in this lineup. He's probably the oldest bodybuilder by far in this lineup. I think he's over 50 now. But he's one of the very few guys in this lineup that has qualified for the Olympia. He's been to the Olympia. He competed in the Masters Olympia where he was 3rd. He's won shows. Again, one of the few guys in this lineup that has won a show. But again, he is a lot older than a lot of these guys in this lineup. I haven't seen very much of his physique. This video that you're watching right now is one of the recent updates that I've seen from him, but I haven't seen like a complete physique update. I know that his legs in the past have been an issue as far as being a little bit undersized, but he's got a really good back. His upper body's pretty impressive for his age. And like I said, he's kind of got that pedigree that, a lot of guys in this lineup just don't have, because a lot of guys in this lineup have never qualified for the Olympia. But again, Phil, he's no spring chicken. He's an older guy. But he has proven thus far that even, at kind of his advanced age, he's still been successful in winning shows. I mean, he was just at the 2023 Olympia. But overall, this Chicago lineup, I think, is a very interesting one. And I'm very curious to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. When you look at this lineup, who stands out to you? Who do you think is going to be a first call-out guy? Who do you think is going to do well here and really, stand out in this kind of it's kind of a mixed match bag of guys. So let me know in the comments down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell notification icon to be notified anytime I upload a video if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. Alright guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.